Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, Happy Visas. My name is Philip Port. I've been asked the question, how did I end up in Russia, in Moscow? So anyway, it's a long story, but I'll try to do it within 10 minutes. I'm going to tell you all the positives and how I did great business here and how I became very rich and then how I ended up being a taxi driver again, all the disasters. But I first, to explain how I came to Moscow, I first got to explain that I was in Zimbabwe, Harare. So I met two Bulgarians, Anatoly and Dmitry. Dmitry became one of my best friends. I love the guy to bits. Unfortunately, he died about 4 years ago, heart problems. And Anatoly moved to America, lives in San Diego. So we all met in Harare, Zimbabwe. I'm living in a hostel called Sable Lodge, 100 people in about a 6-room hostel. So it wasn't that big, but we had about 100 people there. And what I was doing was I was changing money. So I would go up to the tourists, give them a better rate than the bank rate, and then change the cash with the expats who were all British, mainly British expats who lived in Zimbabwe. And because they couldn't get hard currency, they needed somebody like me to speak to the tourists, get them hard currency, and I would make about 15–20%. So that's how I met the two Bulgarians, and I also met very interesting people, Sergei Verhadsev and Aslan Karayov. And years later, they set up a company that was called Drink or Pop. You make 2 litres of soda or juice from a little sachet, and they later changed the branding to Invite. Actually, years later, I actually flew to Chicago with them and did some of the negotiations, and I actually helped them source a company called GelCert in Chicago. But anyway, let me get back to Zimbabwe. So we're in Zimbabwe changing money, met all the Russian guys, and they've all gone back to Russia. I'm in Zimbabwe. At that time, I had a Bulgarian girlfriend. She was an air stewardess. So I flew to Sofia in Bulgaria. It's -20 and I'm in clothes like this. I mean, I am cold. Anyway, that didn't work out. We've met, and the first thing she said to me was, "Phil, I hope you haven't come to Bulgaria because of me." So I knew that was a disaster. So I don't know how I've managed to do it. I've managed to get hold of Dmitry in Moscow. And, you're going to remember we didn't have smartphones in them days. It's the early 90s. It's just after the biggest McDonald's has opened in the world in Pushkinskaya. So as a Bulgarian with Russian citizenship, he flew to Bulgaria, said to me, "Phil, the business is in Russia. Come to Russia." In them days, it was impossible to get a visa if you were British and you didn't apply in England. You had to apply in England, but somehow he's managed to do it. We've jumped on the train, landed in Moscow. I fell in love with the place. So anyway, then I flew back to England, and my job is to find him samples. Anything that he can sell. In them days, everybody wanted something that was British. Anything that said made in England sold. Even if it was absolute crap, it sold. And so I was buying like beers, like Skol Lager from Allied Lines, Long Life from Allied Lines. I was buying beers from Courage. I was buying deodorants, shampoos from companies like McBride's, LEC Liverpool. And I would just send him samples. He would sell it, send me the cash. I would buy the product, put it in a 20-foot or 40-foot container, normally 20-foot because it was the weight, we were sending a lot of beer, and I would send it to him. Went absolutely great. First year, I've got $3 million in my bank account, so there's 3 partners, me, Dmitry, and Garrick, so I guess I'm worth about $1 million, I guess. Pound started to rise. They've a little bit diversified into Bulgarian cigarettes by train, sending it by train, Bulgarian brandy. And not so much business for me to do in the UK. And then disaster happened. The bank went bankrupt. Gary got kidnapped. Our office got burgled. And we were doing some welding work on the warehouse. and according to Dimitri, everything got burnt down, but not just our stock, everybody else's stock. So I'm now penniless. I'm now a taxi driver in London thinking, where did it all go wrong? Dimitri said to me, look, Phil, let's carry on the business, we'll make it back. I said, beep, 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 I'm not interested in Russia, do it yourself, I'm going to focus on some business in England. And a big mistake, they became extremely wealthy again, multi-millionaires. On Russian's Forbes richest list, he was mentioned as, I think, 199. I don't think it was the world, I think it was just on Russian Forbes richest list. They had pharmacies in mining, they were doing insurance. The main company was Max Level, doing heating equipment in nice bathroom, in nice furniture. So they became very, very successful. So I'm in London now thinking, what do I do? So I set up a telephone sales business, and we were selling conferences over the phone. So we were inviting people for oil and gas conferences, mining conferences, road building, bridge building, banking conferences. Anything the client would ask, I would put together. I didn't do the law conferences, but everything else I would put together. And the sales team would market it. But then I diversified again into internet cafes. And before you know it, I've got 16 internet cafes, NetHouse internet cafes. I've got them in Ireland. I've got a small percentage in a very small cafe in Toulouse in France. I've got the biggest internet cafe in Italy, in San Marco, in Santa Stefano Square in Venice. And so what happened then was we're still doing the telephone sales, still doing well, but the internet cafes, because of smartphones, started to hemorrhage cash. We started to lose huge profits on them. We tried to diversify into gaming centres, didn't work, and before you know it, the company's gone out of bankrupt. So then I focused back on the telephone sales business, the conferences. I've set up offices in Olympic Prospect. I've set up an office in Magnitogorsk. And the partner that I brought in to do that, he was a very good help in the beginning, but he set up a similar company with a similar name and substituted all the invoices. So all the cash was going to him. So he did hold the conferences, but when you don't have any overheads like rent and office and staff and things like that, obviously it was very profitable for him. So we've had to close down Olympic Prospect, we've closed down Magnitogorsk, then I've had arguments with my business partner in London, who I wasn't very satisfied as well with his accountancy procedures and things like that. It was a total nightmare. So anyway, so I'm now, the only thing I did well was I invested in property, which I'm now getting divorced, and I gave up all the property to my ex-wife. So the only thing I did well was buy property. So now I think, bother, I'm going to move to Moscow, move to Russia. And the only thing I could do, the only thing I had the skills for, was either teach English, which I did for a little while, and to do visas, which went very successful. I started doing visas in Moscow, visas to England, Schengen zone, America. And I got that experience because I had to do all the visas for my delegates who were attending my conferences. So I had one good thing that I could do. I then had a beautiful son. Now I'm going into films with him. We're going to be doing like a Vlad and Nikki's or Nastia and Papa. We're going to copy their ideas. But anyway, I opened up a film studio where I spoke about in a previous video, where anybody could use the facilities. But the neighbours complained. The police said, look, we don't have a fire escape. The fire department closed us down. Well, it didn't close us down, just didn't let us open. And rightly so, 100% rightly so. And so now I've got an empty film studio, which I can only have 6 people in. But very soon I'm going to be going into children's videos. At the moment I'm developing Happy Visas, so I hope you like the video. Just to get into the visa business, just to get back on my feet, so that I can put money into my new venture. So I've had ups and downs. I think I've been a paper millionaire a couple of times. I'm now back to square one, but I will get myself out of it. I'm not worried. Got to be positive on life. I've got the good support from a great woman who, behind every great man there is a greater woman, so she's supporting me and helping me with my business, so that's good. So yeah, that is a brief overview of the life and times of Philip Pod. Hope you liked the video. I have tried to make it short. I have tried to fit everything in very, very quickly so you don't get bored. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.